or your children with something that you didn't do and you think is unfair, you're going to speak up. And so that's kind of how I feel. Was sort of no question in my mind about what to do. And I made that clear in the letter. And when you're leading in university and someone attacks you and makes an allegation that isn't true, I will always respond. And the most significant thing about that is I will always stand up for our student athletes. And that's where the attack was really on, if you want to be honest about it. And so it won't be the last time I stand up for student athletes.
This is John Ward, welcoming you to another presentation of Tennessee football on home video. The story you're about to see unfold is one of adventure and achievement. It's the story of teamwork, commitment, and the will to win.
Doesn't need a lot of... Oh! He took a weapon!
Welcome back to the Blue Chip Breakdown. Vols fans, huge day, whole bunch of breaking news. Everybody tried to come after, well, everybody didn't try to, but the NCAA tried to come after us, and they're about to be paying for it dearly. Fellas, how are we all doing? Y'all all know P, of course, Bray, and Case, and I got my nephews on here with me. How y'all feeling about all this news that's been breaking here recently?
I feel great about it, man. I mean, anytime we come out to Tennessee, you know it's going to be a big ripple effect, and you know, that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing the Big Ten and SEC come together. Now, this kind of may have been in the works before the whole Tennessee situation became public, but, you know, I mean, you love to see it. We've known the NCAA has kind of been on the way, maybe out the door, and this may be the next step in that direction, so I'm definitely excited about that.
Absolutely. So, Bray, Kaysen, how y'all feeling?
I feel good, like Tennessee got lots of, good players coming in. Get lots of, 5-star stuff like that. So, I'm pretty good and confident that, that's right.
Absolutely. All right, so let's go ahead and just jump straight into this thing, okay? So, number one, right, for those of y'all who don't really know what's going on, I'm sure everybody does, but Tennessee is under NCAA investigation, and I've actually heard that, since this has happened, that there's 10 other programs that the NCAA has pretty much sent the same letters to, or they're looking at 10 other programs. So, Tennessee's the only school that I've seen, right? Like we all know about Florida. We all know about Florida State. Florida State just rolled right on over. Florida sounds like they're kind of, gearing up to roll over as well. They fired like the leader or, whatever, the boss of their NIL. And Tennessee's the only team that's fighting. Our chancellor stands up for us. Our AD stands up for us. And, obviously, we've got government people coming out for us, and we've actually filed a lawsuit against the NCAA. And, for those of y'all who don't know this, it sounds like the first court hearing is going to be February the 13th at 9 a.m. Now, P, you tell me if I'm wrong on this. You may know better than me, or maybe you've heard something different. But from what I've heard with that court hearing, okay, if the judge sides with Tennessee, what it means, not just for Tennessee, but for the entire country, is that there will be no more NIL or transfer portal rules that the NCAA can enforce on anybody. Now, if y'all know down in the in the chat, y'all please let us know if there's anything different to that. But just that right there by itself, that's huge news. P, have you heard anything different?
No, yeah, that's what I've been hearing too, which is, don't know exactly how to feel about that, but I think that's what we're moving to, man. We're moving to a league where this is not amateur sports anymore. This is semi-pro, and you got to take away all those regulations. Like this, it's gonna be the Wild West. Stars always before. It's gonna live in the Wild West, but now everybody knows it, and it's fair game. And I think that's the fairest way to play it, man. You can't do like the NCAA's been doing, have these kind of ambiguous rules or whatever, and expect people to be able to follow them. I think you look at Florida and even Florida State. I think they went out there and they kind of blatantly did dumb stuff, right? If you promise a kid you're going to pay him $13 million, you don't pay him. That's Come on. And then Florida State, I don't know. There's a little more on the borderline. You have a coach that drives a recruit directly to the NIL collector's house. Okay, but what Tennessee did, completely different. And I think that's why you see Donnie Plowman come up and fighting for these guys because, Spire it isn't even the collective. Okay, that's a marketing agency. Nico lives in California. It's legal in California for a high school guy to make money. He's just doing what he needs to do to make money. Just so happens that has to be in Knoxville where he's going to school, where he's going to go to school at. But we didn't break any rules. I think that's why you really see Donnie Plowman and Daniel White recently today come out here and really fight this thing because we didn't do anything wrong. We're gonna fight you. We're gonna fight you tooth and nail.
Yeah. Hey, so Pete, your mic sounds kind of crazy, so you might have to get that fixed real quick. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that sounded a little bit better, but yeah, you might have to get that fixed real quick. So, Bray and Kaysen, what do y'all know about this, or really Brace, because this is something that a lot of people have been asking. What are the prospects going to think about what's going on with Tennessee? And we talked about this in an earlier video. Tennessee is having a junior day tomorrow because the first one that we had got canceled, or really just kind of got moved back because of the snow, because of the weather. But Bray, have you talked to anybody up there at Buford? Because we've already got we got Justin Baker, who's coming to Tennessee, class of 2025. And then there's several other prospects that I know that, Tennessee staff has been checking in on. Have you heard anything from any of those prospects?
Yeah, I was actually right before we actually Justin. I think he's going to get up Knoxville this week. I haven't really talked to any other prospects about, Tennessee, or not recently. But it seems like I think they came to Buford like a couple of days ago. I don't know. I'm not sure they, but I think they come up here, and I think all the prospects really like Tennessee now. I think they all are looking at what they're doing and look what they're building. And I think they all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Having Justin Baker coming, he's not the best player that's gonna be coming, but he'll at least be able to help the team out a little bit. So that's basically all it is. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna at least make progress. That's really all that matters.
Well, so I was really more so asking, have y'all heard them say anything about what's going on with the NCAA? With that whole deal, like with Tennessee being under fire right now. Have y'all heard anything? With them talking about that, Bray? No, nothing. All right, so no, huh?
No, I haven't heard anything.
Nothing. Okay, so my whole thing is this, right? Y'all all know that I'm, frequent on VolQuest and on pretty much any message board that I can get my hands on with Tennessee sports. And it sounds like from, what, Brent Hubbs and Austin Price are saying that the prospects that Tennessee's looking at, they're not bothered by this by any means. And I would be willing to bet that they actually are going to look at Tennessee in a more positive light because we're fighting for our team, fighting for our program from top to bottom. Everybody's joining into that fight. And I think that's a great look. And, obviously hindsight, we're about to move into what's going on with the SEC, with the Big Ten, but hindsight's going to be who were the pioneers of this fight versus the NCAA? Because, Pete, you and I both played back before players could legally get paid. So it's a whole different ball game. And we've always known that it's a real job. It's pretty much 24/7. You're grinding, right? You have to do schoolwork, but at the same time, you've got meetings, you've got lifts, you've got practice. Obviously, you've got film sessions. You've got 1,000,001 things that you've got to do just as a football player that takes away from your opportunity to just be just a regular student. And obviously, I think that it's a full-time job and that these guys, men and women, should have been getting paid. So I think that Tennessee looking like a pioneer at this point. I think that that's a great look, not just for right now, but it's going to look even better as as time goes on. So that's something to definitely be proud of. Now, let me get to a few of these chats real quick. For everybody who's in the house, we got RG Vol says, "Sup, cuz, go Vols." Yes, sir. Go Vols. And then RG Vol's also saying LSU's next. Okay, yeah, I have heard some rumors that LSU's that's one of the teams that the NCAA is also looking at. Brad Burnett says, "What's up, fellas? Go Big Orange." What's going on, Brad? Let's see what else we got here. We got Daniel saying everyone is getting too deep in the weeds with what is allowed and not allowed. The NCAA can't do anything that violates the Sherman Act. The buck stops there. NCAA can't do anything. I agree with that 1,000,000%. And actually, once all this stuff first started to come out, we've been saying this. We've been consistent with this message that, number one, right, the NCAA really has no leg to actually stand on. That was my first time really going in and trying to figure out, hey, what are the NIL actual rules? Well, there are no rules. There's just like 4 guidelines. and that's nothing. So then after that, you have to kind of look at what the states have, and the states had the exact same, I guess, kind of guidelines, but there are more laws, obviously, with the states. And, we're not lawyers, y'all. So anything that we say, I mean, just take it with a grain of salt. It's just stuff that we've read. But what I noticed is that everything was all centered around the institution, which is the actual universities, the actual schools, cannot participate in anything that would entice a player to come to the school based off of NIL, and they can't be involved with NIL in any way, shape, form, or fashion. That's the only rule that I've seen on a consistent basis. And it sounds like, Tennessee was never involved in that in the first place. But now what we've got, okay, now we've got two power conferences. We got the Big Ten and we got the SEC coming together. We all knew that this was coming, right? We said, hey, at some point, it's going to end up being two conferences, just like the NFL, right? AFC, NFC, that's kind of where it's at. And everyone else is going to have to follow suit. Now, there's one thing that I did see earlier, just to kind of, I guess before I go too deep into this, that I think speaks volumes about how the power struggle has changed, right? So this right here, okay, that's from Greg Sankey, who is the commissioner of the SEC. And he's basically talking about the NCAA looking into the NIL, not just with Tennessee, but with Florida and, I guess with other schools or other programs as well. And he says, we shouldn't be distracted by specific matters. Him saying that, right? And I think it's more so the way that he's saying it. To me, that looks like something that a boss would say, right? Like you can almost see him, it's kind of like a mob boss or something sitting at the table. Somebody comes to him with a issue and he's like, man, look, he pause for like 2-3 seconds. Hey, man, look, we shouldn't be concerned about any specific matters. So I think that just kind of shows the, posture and strength that he's already feeling. They know that they really are in charge. The NCAA is up against the ropes. They know that they can't beat anybody in court. But before we go, too far into, some of the more or more of the details of what's going on with the two conferences joining, P, what are your thoughts?
Man, I think this was like you said, man. It was waiting to happen. I mean, this has been kind of on the docket for a while. I think Greg Sankey, man, the SEC powering up with the Big Ten. I mean, these guys have had it with the NCAA. The NCAA, like you mentioned in your last video, they have their purpose, but it's not to govern college football. That's not what they're here for. And I think everybody's tired of that and fed up with it, man. I mean, the rules are so ambiguous. They're just so just kind of out there. Like there's nothing that's clear cut in stone. You talk about being able to, not being able to induce recruits with NIL. Well, Bray, you can probably speak to this being at Buford. What's one of the biggest things that these guys are looking for when it comes to the school they're gonna commit to? What's my NIL opportunity look like? So you mean to tell me these coaches aren't having NIL conversations with these recruits, with these prospects before they're on campus? I mean, you're gonna look me in the eye and lie right to me if you tell me that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, everybody knew this was coming. This whole NIL deal was kind of rushed, I guess, into existence. And so now they're, and so it's kind of trying to backtrack and all that whole stuff. But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know what the solution is going to be, but I think that the NCAA is going to kind of be on the outside looking in, and they're going to have their hands tied, not really have any say so. And this is really kind of not necessarily the first step, but this is probably the first major step to really get that ball rolling. So, like I said, excited about them getting out of the way.
Absolutely. So, Bray and Kaysen, do y'all have any thoughts on this?
I think it was pretty much bound to happen, like y'all said. So I just think that ever since NIL was introduced, there really hasn't been no guidelines and stuff. So I feel like they're branching off, trying to make some news. So I just think that this was kind of bound to happen, like everyone said. And now that Tennessee kind of came on and did what they did. It's now it's kind of starting to create a domino effect for the SEC.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm also gonna say this too. I'm curious, right? And Bray, obviously, with you being up at Buford, you would know better, and you might not know right off the top, but obviously there's several players at the school that are going to like ACC schools. I think you might have some guys going to like Pac-12 or maybe not Pac-12, but like Big 12 type schools. I wonder what that's going to mean to them, maybe further down the line, once the college football playoffs, once the 12-team playoff ends. I'm curious to see if those guys might say, hey, I want to go play with the Power 2 conferences. And then obviously at some point, every single school, if they want to be, part of the big boy football, they're going to have to be a part of the SEC or part of the Big Ten. So that's going to be another interesting part of this whole deal. But let's just kind of dive a little bit deeper into what's going on with the Big Ten and with the SEC kind of joining forces right here. So we touched on this briefly with the video earlier today. And, basically what it sounds like is they've been talking for months now. They've wanted to come together and, I guess it's kind of clean up college football because the NCAA, again, they can't make any clear, concise rules. And they're just kind of like picking and choosing who they're going to go after. Again, like we just said, there's 10 other programs that the NCAA is targeting outside of Tennessee, but we haven't heard about them. They put Tennessee out on the forefront so that, we could be, I guess the kind of like fall guy for this whole deal while they're just trying to show some relevance in college football. In the college football world, we don't even need the NCAA anymore. Like we don't need them. Like I also said earlier, I think the only reason that we would need them is maybe for, like liability type issues. And I think that they'll, maybe stick around for that. But now that we've got the Big Ten and the SEC working hand in hand, one of the things that they did talk about was not wanting to necessarily have the institutions pay these players. So it sounds like they're kind of trying to keep the NIL and, just be able to get the boosters to kind of pay these guys more so that they can keep some more money inside of their pockets. So that's kind of what it's going to. But what are y'all's thoughts on that? Did y'all get an opportunity to look at any of the articles talking about this? Do you have any more details that y'all like to add to it?
Yeah, I guess, obviously the Big Ten, SEC, whatever this committee is called, no name to it yet. But they're just like you kind of talked about, they're just trying to tackle all the mess going on in the NCAA right now with the Project D1, like kind of talk about the schools paying these guys pretty much unlimited amounts. Obviously, they're not going to want to do that, right? They're going to want to try to kind of pivot away from that type of model. I think they're going to want to do something like we've kind of proposed before, is like the NFL, just have a salary cap. Pretty much take the NFL's model and pretty much apply that to college football. I mean, essentially, I know you have college, you have school and stuff like that, so it's a little bit different, but pretty much take that same model, have a salary cap for each team. Okay. You can't spend more than whatever amount of dollars. Okay. Kind of build your roster that way. I think that's an effective way to do it. But that's one of the kind of issues they're trying to tackle, that model, and just the things like we're seeing with Tennessee, and like you said, 10 of those schools being investigated. They're trying to really tackle that type of stuff. And just, like I said, get the NCAA out of there. Now, I think kind of moving forward, what I like to see is, again, the salary cap model. I like to see us maybe somehow limit the transfer portal in some way, like limit the window that can happen. There's things I would like to see this committee try to push for. We'll see if they really get in here and make some change. Because, I mean, we're still really waiting to see what exactly they're going to do. I'm not sure when that big announcement is going to come out, but I want to see, what exactly are they going to be enforcing? What exactly is going to be their play? Like, are they going to be able to just overpower the NCAA? You know what I mean? Like, is it their word over the NCAA, that they have more power than them? Like, how's that going to work? I'm kind of interested to see that dynamic, but I think it's an exciting time. And I think college football is going to continue to drastically change year after year. And so we'll just kind of see, this, like I said, this is the first cog in that wheel. And we'll see if ACC joins in, if other teams try to join in and get this thing really going. But like I said, man, I'm excited about what's happening.
Absolutely. Brian Cason, do you have any thoughts on that?
I feel like this kind of like like I said, the first big domino effect into them kind of moving, but just seeing what they do, the SC and Big Ten rules that they kind of put down, I feel like that's really going to set the standard for football, with the salary cap, if they do that, or if they do some other strategies. But I kind of see it. I don't know if like really might be a little talk about the NBA has like the G League. I feel like once the SEC and the Big Ten kind of break apart, I feel like that's gonna be like a league. Like the NFL is gonna kind of like sponsor that league, and then that's just gonna like people are gonna start just going there and then going straight to the NFL after like 2 years now. So that could be a direction it's going.
So are you guys thinking that this is not only the Big Ten and SEC coming together, kind of like judicially or whatever? Yeah, but like you think they're going to make their own conference where they're going to play in themselves? Like you think they're actually going to separate that way? Because I took it more as just they're combining like their committees or whatever, just to be more like of a law
Voice.
organization. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
to have some rule over that way. But you guys are saying you think something more so they're going to be playing in a whole separate league that they're going to create. Is what you think?
Yeah, so that obviously that's an excellent point because that is kind of what they said, and they were very careful with their wording to try to shy away from saying, "Hey, we're not going to separate from the NCAA." But like you just said, P, they're going to be calling all the shots. If you're calling all the shots, I mean, you essentially are playing in your own league. Now, again, I think that they'll probably try to keep the NCAA around for certain purposes, right? And they'll obviously, I think that however much money the NCAA is making right now, that's going to go down. That's going to go down a lot because they're not going to be able to enforce any more rules. And I don't think that they'll really even be a part of, even talking about what the rules are going to be. I think that that's all about to be taken out. Like I said, whenever you look at the way that Greg Sankey said what he said, I don't, that's the first time I think I've ever seen him talk like that, where it's just very matter of fact, like this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? He has no question. He's not even worrying about what the NCAA has to say. And as we've, said several times, they've lost almost every single lawsuit that they've, had come against them here recently for sure.
Yep.
So legally, they have no leg to stand on. Like you cannot, have these guys and say, hey, they're amateurs, but we're going to let them get paid off of their name, image, and likeness, and set all these weird rules. Like you just can't do that. They're either working for you or they're not. And then something else that P, you and Bray both brought up about a salary cap. You can't put a salary cap on how much money someone can make off of their name, image, and likeness. So if there is going to be a salary cap, then the student athletes are going to have to be working for the universities or for the conference. They're going to have to be working for somebody for them to be able to cap it. And I think that might be where this whole thing is going. But obviously, it's going to be very interesting. And I'm going to get to some chats here in just a minute because I would love to hear y'all's thoughts on this and just kind of see what y'all are thinking. Now, something else that you had brought up, P, was there has to be some sort of a limit on the transfer portal. Obviously also talking about having a cap on NIL. But again, we said this to start this stream off. If Tennessee wins in court, okay, this is just my understanding. Y'all, please tell me if I'm wrong. But my understanding is if Tennessee does, win in court on the 13th, then it sounds like there will be no more transfer portal rules, period. So like now there's windows. I think that moving forward, there won't even be any more windows. So we got to talk about what our roster could potentially look like if that happens. And then there's not going to be any more, there's not going to be any more NCAA enforcement on NIL as well. Now it's going to be interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so let me ask this, kind of talking about NCAA. If they decide somehow to suspend Nico, make him ineligible next season, do you think there's any way in heck that Tennessee doesn't play him anyway next season? Like, I mean, do they have any power? You know what I mean? Like, can they? How can they enforce that? Can they actually enforce that? Do you know?
I mean, excuse me. Yeah, I don't think that they can really enforce anything. And to me, that's the biggest point of all this is that, well, obviously they haven't really charged Tennessee with anything, but I don't think that they can. Yep. And Tennessee standing up to them just really showed, hey, they're really more or less powerless. You know what I'm saying? Something else, I was talking to Bray and Kaysen about this last night that, hey, look, like these guys are not the FBI. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not that. So if they come to you and they say, hey, we want this, like we want to see phone records, or like if they interview people, you don't got to answer none of their questions. You don't got to show them nothing. So if you have no evidence of anything, I don't see how you could enforce, any sort of a penalty. So again, they're just kind of like in that aspect of it. I think that they're very much meaningless. They're very much in the way, and they're just, they're like posturing and, trying to grandstand and do all that. But they're about to get out of the way, right? Like that, we know that that's coming. So moving on though, like, because I really want to touch on this because I think that this is another interesting aspect to it. If Tennessee wins in court on the 13th, there's no more transfer portal rules. There's no more NIL rules. But if Tennessee loses, then it sounds like all of that stuff would kind of like come to a halt. Okay. Again, I might be off on that, but that's my understanding. So if Tennessee does win, because we're like, I don't think there's any realistic way that Tennessee can lose. If Tennessee does win, are we afraid that we could lose some players to that transfer portal? I mean, like, what are y'all thinking with that? And then Bray, you can talk about Georgia because we know that you're a big Georgia fan. But do y'all think that there's any players that would just try to sneak out?
I mean, I don't. I mean, not right now. I feel like everybody, because I feel like if they were going to leave, they would have already left during the whatever that window was we just had. So I feel like if they're here now, they're going to stay at least to the spring and see, compete for a spot. I don't see anybody leaving now, but you never know. But I would say no, nobody's leaving, in my opinion.
All right, so what about wide receivers though? Because we got some studs coming in. That's true freshmen. Obviously, we got a few guys in that transfer portal. You can also talk about that secondary. There's a lot of new bodies coming in there. So you don't think that nobody would be inclined to leave? What about like a Christian Harrison? You know
Christian
what I'm saying?
Harrison or Nathan Laycock or a guy like that. I mean,
Nathan Leacock, yeah.
I just me personally, like I said, I feel like they would have already left because like nothing would have happened from now, until spring for them to leave. I mean, you're going to do winter workouts, stuff like that, but you're not really doing anything from a like depth chart perspective. So I mean, unless these guys are in winter workouts and Mike Matthews is over here just blowing guys off the ball, you know what I mean? And the transfers that got in are just dominating in the secondary. Like maybe they kind of sorry, my phone's ringing there. Maybe they kind of get a little bit discouraged and say, well, heck, this guy's too good, I'm leaving. But, I don't think Tennessee has those type of guys. I think the only guy we had like that was Joe Benson. He's gone. Let's not talk about that guy. But, I just don't see anybody leaving, at least not until spring, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to affect us very much.
Yeah. So, Bray and Kaysen, what are y'all's thoughts on that? Do y'all think that that's something that could happen? And let me also throw this out there because we all know that like it's hard to transfer after school has already started. And I think every single university schools have started. But at the same time, we know that if a school wants a player bad enough, they can make some things happen. So I think that's another interesting part to it is what schools and what programs will be willing to accept somebody in the middle of a term versus which ones won't. I think that that's going to be interesting as well. But Bray, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I kind of agree with P said. Like, I feel like if people are gonna leave, I feel like they would already did it. So I don't see anybody leaving. Well, I mean, it could happen. Like, it could happen. I don't see anybody leaving. But like, I also like kind of to your point. Like, I don't think people like would want to transfer schools like kind of midterm, mid semester, stuff like that. I just don't think that would be like a good move for them almost instead of just trying to wait to spring, compete for a spot, and then that window or whatever you want to call it now, I guess, opens up. Portal day. But I don't really see anybody leaving. But yeah, not that case.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I would have left that the same thing, they ain't making the ball. So, like, just how they said, like, first, about wide receivers, having Brew coming back, like, I'm real excited. Yeah, I mean, like later on this season, we're going to be loaded. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, look, so there's no doubt. That's something else a lot of people were speculating too is, hey, is the NCAA coming after Tennessee because Tennessee is so loaded? I think that people can see that, from the outside looking in, right? But I don't know if that's, I mean, maybe it is. I mean, there's a lot of people who hate Tennessee. Like, they just can't stand this. And I don't know if this whole situation, seeing how Tennessee is handling this, like nobody else ever has or has ever even attempted to do. I'm sure they probably hate us even more. Maybe some people might, kind of be like, oh, okay, like I might kind of cheer for y'all now. But something else too was, we've been wondering, are there going to be any more states that join into the lawsuit that Tennessee filed? And I would think that the types of states that might also, maybe like, LSU might try to go out and reach, they might try to reach out to somebody in the government there and see if they can, jump in on that lawsuit as well, because like we said, there sounds like they're on the list. And, I kind of feel like we're almost like allies with LSU. You know what I'm saying? You could almost even say the same thing for maybe like Auburn. I don't know how that's going to work in Alabama because they got Alabama and they got Auburn. I don't know if Alabama, like if their fan base would want to try to rally behind what Tennessee's got going on, or if they're going to sit back and watch. I don't think Georgia would either. I think they're going to try to sit back and watch. Florida's, yeah, go ahead.
So have you been hearing about how Georgia, the president of the University of Georgia, is on the governing board of the NCAA, and they're saying, there's been a lot of speculation that that's why he's targeting Florida and Tennessee, because he knows that we're coming up and he's trying to take us down. You think there's any truth to that?
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. I thought it was a lady, but
it's a guy.
Oh, okay. Is it a guy?
I saw, it might be multiple people, but the one I saw is a guy.
Yeah, I mean, you already know I don't put that past him, but I mean, I don't. But that would make a whole lot of sense because how is Georgia the only one that's not But I'm also curious, how come Alabama hasn't been targeted? Maybe they just got too much power or something. I don't know, but it's a whole lot of interesting stuff behind that. But Bray, who do you think should try to join in on the lawsuit that Tennessee has filed versus the NCAA?
I mean, all the teams, I think they're the 40. They got 40%. But and I think.
Well, hold on, Bray. But because y'all's mic keeps going, your mic keeps going. Excuse me, your mic keeps going in and out. So yeah, you might have to, I don't know, maybe bring it closer to you or something. But I'm gonna let y'all try to get that figured out real quick, and I'm gonna bring y'all right back once y'all get it together. All right. Okay, so yeah, so I don't know. I definitely feel like some other states will get involved, but at this point, I don't know if it's even necessary, just because Tennessee kind of got this whole thing locked up. And again, I think that that Greg Sankey and Big Ten guy, I think that they came out together and put this thing, or made this thing public with what they've had going on, with what they've kind of been planning. I think that they did that because Tennessee's been taking up so many headlines. And I mean, you see that they're just posturing. And I mean, there's a whole lot of confidence. I have a whole lot of confidence. I think that whatever Tennessee wants to do at this point, I think that they're cool. I don't think we got to even worry about losing any court cases versus the NCAA. Like you had brought up Nico, I think he's going to be fine. Nobody's going to have to sit out. So I feel good from that perspective of everything moving forward.
And I feel like we've got a lot of momentum on the recruiting trail right now. I feel like we got a lot of big time guys looking at us. You go on Twitter, you see coaches visiting all these high profile guys, 5 stars all across the country. So I feel really good about what we're doing right now, and it's good to hear what you said earlier about these recruits don't seem to be too fazed by what's going on, and almost looking at it as a positive, knowing that they potentially could be going to university. It's going to go to bat for them, make sure they can earn every dollar that they deserve to earn. And I mean, you just love to see that, man. I think that this is giving us positive publicity right here. You know what I mean? Like, I think this thing was leaked. Excuse me. This thing was leaked to try to put our name in the dirt, but really, I mean, it's backfiring big time on those guys, and it's elevating us to a whole nother stratosphere. And I think we got a chance to even maybe sneak in a few guys here in the early signing period, for 2024, maybe get a couple guys that we weren't expecting to get. And then I think 2025 is keep this momentum going. No penalties from the NCAA or anything like that. We should have a big time class, probably top 5 class. So a lot of momentum for Tennessee right now. Great time to be a ball.
Absolutely. I agree 1,000,000%. And P, I don't know. I'm sure that you did see that list of guys we got coming in tomorrow on that junior day. Man, I mean, guys. And I feel like we're like high up on everybody's board too in that class. Mm-hmm. So for sure, man, 2025, man, I'm thinking top 3. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it really seems like since we got GMAC, I mean, I don't know, like he doesn't seem like a guy he doesn't seem like a Blue Carter type guy, you know what I mean, that can just influence, others. But it seems like ever since we got him, people have really just been wanting to play with him. Like he seems to have that sauce, man. People just like him or whatever. People gravitate to him. So I'm excited, man. I think he's going to really do big things for us when he gets up here on campus.
Absolutely. So it looks like, I don't know, Bray, are y'all ready down there? Let me see. Okay. All right, there we go. It looks like, let me take you off. There we go.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we might just have to hold the phone because I was setting the phone up like on the speaker.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So one of the things that we was just talking about was Tennessee is making a whole lot of progress in 2025, and obviously that in 25 we got Justin Baker coming from Buford, but that 2026 class, I know especially at Buford, I think in the whole state of Georgia, that class is loaded. So I'm thinking that for Tennessee to be able to kind of stop Georgia, we're gonna have to finish out strong with 2025, and the junior day coming up tomorrow. That's going to be a huge deal after all the NCAA stuff that we got going on. But I think, again, because of how Tennessee is trending so much, in the public eye, in the media, I think that that's helping us out a lot. And Bray, I can't wait for you to go back to school and start asking some of those blue chip players up there what they think about Tennessee now.
Oh,
yeah.
I just think. I think it's a good. I feel like it's a good look for Tennessee. Them fighting back. But I think a bunch of the players that beef are in the 2026 class, and even the state. I know a lot of people are talking about Tennessee and the
Yeah.
positive. So yeah, that's pretty much.
All
Yeah,
right.
I haven't really talked, to some of the players about, exactly, how they're liking Tennessee right now. But from what I see on social media, we got a lot of people wearing Tennessee gear at track practice, stuff like that. So, I think people really like Tennessee and they're embracing the culture.
Absolutely, absolutely. So while we got P off, okay, we're gonna switch gears just a taste because we know that this was supposed to encompass multiple sports. It's not just football; it's basketball. Well, we don't know for sure, but kind of speculating. It could be basketball, could be men or women, could be baseball, softball. So there's other sports that's involved with this whole deal. But Bray, because you are an expert on basketball, tell me what you think about DK real quick because I think he might be the best player in the whole league. But what's
Uh,
your thoughts on him?
Dalton Connect, he's a 3-level scorer. He can score from anywhere. He's really a 4-level scorer. He can shoot. He can shoot it. Like with the best of them, he can really score. Very easily. I think he's probably had about 5 or 6 30-point games this year. So I think he's one of the top players in the nation. I think he should kind of be in the Wooden Award race, which is the best player in college basketball. But I'm excited to see them play versus Kentucky tomorrow. I know Kentucky has a very good team, a lot of freshmen, so that's gonna be a good test for Tennessee tomorrow.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I haven't really watched a whole lot of Kentucky play. I've seen them play like in spurts, but I think that we can match up well with them. To me, Tennessee's biggest issue seems like it's down in that post area. We have some trouble being able to defend big guys in the paint. And I don't know what the answer is going to be for that. Because and really, I'm talking about like big guys, like the dudes that's like 7'5", like you don't even have to be that big, but if you like a 7-footer plus, and if you can bang down there, if you can put up points, that's the toughest thing for us. And then I talked about this earlier in the video today too. We got to get some people who can be more consistent scoring along with DK because he can't do it by himself. So, what do you think about some of the other playmakers that Tennessee has? Like, we got ZZ. We got Triple J. You know what I'm saying? We got several guys who can put up points. But what are your thoughts about some of the other players?
Yeah, I think the one thing Tennessee has going for them very well is like they got a bunch of experience. They've been in these situations with Ziegler,
Mm-hmm.
Vesta, and Josiah Jordan James. They
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of experience in big time games, and I mean they show that they can score. But I think the biggest thing about Tennessee is what they haven't had. They had Dalton Knecht as a scorer, but what they've always had is a good defense with Rick Barnes. So I think that's going to carry them farther as we get into March Madness and as we get into conference tournament stuff like that. But that's going to keep carrying them. But now when you add a guy with Dalton Knecht who can score, whenever, I feel like that's just going to boost Tennessee even more because I feel like that's what they've been missing the couple of years they've been getting upset in the tournament and kind of losing early in the tournament.
Yeah, that's the same thing. See, I'm thinking that same thing, but I'm also like, man, we got to have some really good guard play to be able to go deep into that tournament, and that's always my biggest thing. Every single season, like it's cool to win the SEC. I mean, that's great. I don't get as upset when the basketball team loses, especially kind of like early on in the season. I just want for us to figure it out and start to get hot going into the tournament because I want to win a championship. You know what I'm saying? So I do think that DK can help us do that. And I just need to see everybody be a lot more consistent. But we'll definitely be tuning into that game tomorrow. And we might have a little live video or something like that talking to y'all about that game. But the last thing that I wanted to talk about with y'all real quick is when do we think that the NCAA is officially going to take that back seat? Because we just talked about it. We do think that it's already, it's kind of like an unspoken thing that, hey, the SEC and the Big Ten have joined forces. So now NCAA, y'all take the back seat to them, and they're pretty much pulling all the strings and calling all the shots. But when do we think that, it's going to be pretty much in black and white that that's who's in charge of college football at this point? Bray, do you have any thoughts on that?
I'll probably say 5 to 10 more years, and the
You
reason
think 5 to 10 more years?
or I
Okay, go ahead.
I think the reason for that is like they're still. I feel like the conference realignment. I feel like they're still trying to get who they want to get in the conferences.
Mm,
Like once that's kind of set in stone, they have the people who they want to get. I feel like that's when they'll really take that step forward really, kind of take over the NCAA. So, I mean, just pretty much whenever they get who they want to get in the conferences, the SEC and the Big Ten, I feel like that's a win. They'll take over.
Okay. Case, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, nothing.
Yeah. So I'm was thinking, and I have been thinking this, that it's probably going to happen once the current playoff contract ends, which I believe it's 2 more seasons of that. So what it would be this season, 24, then 25. I think in 26, I think that they'll be able to get it figured out. You know what I'm saying? Because again, once you've got a voice, or once you have 2 voices that are this powerful, they can make things happen a lot quicker than what the NCAA has been doing.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on.
Okay.
I have to switch my device here.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna let P get it back situated. But that's what I think. I think that it's gonna be a lot quicker than what some people are anticipating, because the NCAA drags their feet on everything. It takes them years to get stuff done. And that's why, I'm thinking that, man, and like within the next 2 years, we're gonna be straight. Let me see. Okay, I don't know what's going on with P's deal. He's having some technical difficulties, but all right, y'all. That's gonna be it for this one. I just wanted to get y'all's thoughts. I wanted to see what everyone thought about this. Obviously, this is huge news. I think it's a much bigger deal than what they kind of are letting on to the media at this point. But you can kind of see the writing on the wall that this is going to be the end of the NCAA as we've known it since we've all been living. It's about to change up dramatically. P, do you have any final closing thoughts off of what we're just talking about? When do we think that that the 2 power conferences are going to come out and officially say that the NCAA is taking that back seat to whatever they're going to do?
No, I don't really know. Can you guys hear me? I had to switch to my headphones.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't really know. I mean, the fact that they leaked it now, you would think that they're going to make an announcement here pretty soon. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's anybody's guess. You never know how long things could take. But I mean, I don't see what's the point of waiting. Go ahead and announce it now, especially while we got this court hearing going on with Tennessee and everything like that. Go ahead and get it out there. Show these guys are worthless. We don't need them. Push them out of here. You know what I mean? But I think that the world is ready to kind of see this next step. And I was watching Josh Pate probably like a week or 2 ago. He talked about like kind of his last straw. His last straw was, I forget the kid's name, but I think the kid that transferred to North Carolina. Oh yeah. And they ruled him ineligible, or whatever. That was his last straw. This is my last straw. Whenever they came out to Tennessee and did what they did, this is my final straw. Because I was kind of like, I kind of think the NCAA, we kind of need them around. But this is my last straw. We don't need those guys anymore. And let's get them out of here. So whatever that looks like moving forward, Power 2 conference, whatever it is, let's go ahead and go for it. I'm ready for it, man. I think that Tennessee's primed for this era. You talk about, potentially schools being able to pay these guys, or boosters being able to pay these guys, whatever it is. I think we talk about Tennessee being a team that's so primed and so ready to take advantage of that type of world. I mean, we've been chomping at the bit, and I feel like this whole situation has only kind of almost reinvigorated the fan base, reinvigorated the boosters. People want to donate more money. I seen guys on Twitter like, I just doubled my contribution to the ball club. You know what I mean? Like, Tennessee's built for it. We're ready for it, and we can't wait to get this thing rolling. So I'm excited.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what? I love what you just said, Bray. Was you about to chime in?
Oh nah. But I think it's like exciting time for the SEC and the Big Ten. We kind of seen this coming, or I kind of seen this coming. So I think it's just a very exciting time, and it's gonna be a fun time for I guess college sports, or I don't know what you would call it, 'cause it's not the NCAA no more. The college sports in general.
Yeah, man. We should probably be hearing some stuff. I wouldn't say maybe not too soon, but the last thing that I'll say kind of in closing is with that Project D1, they were talking about implementing that in August. So I think that we will see some more concrete, maybe rules and regulations coming out from, our new leaders in the Big Ten and the SEC around that. Like, I would say within enough time for them to be implemented by August, which is obviously the start of football season. So it's a whole lot of great stuff for us to be looking forward to, man. And I'm so excited. Again, Tennessee looks great in all this, man. We walked through the fire, you know what I'm saying, came out unscathed. So as a Vol fan, you got to be very proud of our entire program, top to bottom, the whole state, top to bottom. So appreciate, yes, sir. So appreciate y'all for jumping on this live stream with us. P, Bray, Kaysen, love y'all, man, and love all of y'all subscribers and everyone that's tuned in. Thank y'all for sticking all the way to the end. And as always, make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll probably see y'all tomorrow. Thanks. Peace.